Thank you everyone for joining us. Some of you will have been with us for all of the week or part of the week, or perhaps you're watching this on record. This is the episode 5 in a series of webinars where we're covering the Power Platform in a week of lunches. So thank you very much for joining us for this final one, Power Virtual Agents. My name is Lisa Crosby. You are with us today virtually at Barhead Solutions, and I'm going to talk to you about Power Virtual Agents, which is the newest member of the Power Platform family, and as I've said on the record publicly many times now, I think my favorite part. So this is what we're going to be going through today. We're going to talk about what is Power Virtual Agents. I'm going to take you through how Power Virtual Agents lines up with the bot framework that is also part of the broader Microsoft technology platform, and how those things interact together. And then we're going to spend most of the time here looking at the capabilities. So as with any of our other week of lunches sessions, this is not a how to build session. This is more about focusing on the capabilities and what the tool can do. We do run our Power Virtual Agents in a day session once a month at the moment. We've got one coming up next week on Wednesday. We've still got a few places left there if anyone wants to register for that on our events calendar. So yeah, that's if you're interested in going a bit deeper and kind of getting your hands on and having a go with this stuff and learning the how to, then we do offer that full day training. That's brand new actually, so we're getting that up as a regular fixture on our calendar. So today we're really going to focus on the capabilities. So I'm just sort of take you through the capabilities for topic authoring, including bringing in your existing FAQ content. We're going to look at variables, topic redirects, and slot filling. Actions with Power Automate. So this is a really powerful part of what we can do with Power Virtual Agents is enabling your bot to actually do things. So we're going to have a look at that. Authentication, where users can log in using their Azure Active Directory or other authentication credentials so that the bot knows who they are. We will look at the capabilities to hand off to a live agent, and also some of the analytics that come with the platforms. We will look at the various channels that are available for publishing your bot right now. A couple of things around special offers that are available, particularly if you need a chatbot for COVID-19 support, and there's heaps of organisations in that situation right now. And then a brief look at the roadmap. So this is a relatively new product in the platform, so there's quite a lot coming in the roadmap. And I should point out, when I say it's a new product, the technology underneath is not new. The technology underneath actually comes from that bot framework that I alluded to earlier. So we're not working with kind of, brand new version 1 technology here. It's a new product, but the technology underneath it is certainly very well established. So if you're looking at building out a solution on that, please be assured that it's not like brand new version 1 tech. So by way of introduction, my name is Lisa Crosby. I am the technology evangelist here at Barhead Solutions. That means that I'm always looking at the newest and the latest and the greatest and the cool toys that are coming through for us in the business applications platform. Power Virtual Agents is one of those ones that I focus on. I spend a lot of time looking at the AI builder. There's a new capabilities around sort of intelligence in sales and customer insights and things like that as well. And my role is to make sure that we are putting information out to help you understand what those things can do, that you can see them in action, that you can understand how you might be able to use them in your business. I'm also Microsoft Business Applications MVP, which effectively means I do this stuff for free in my spare time as well as doing the day job. It's actually a technical community leadership award, so there's a big community out there of people doing that, and the MVPs are the people who are sort of leading that community out in the world. Roshona, do you want to say hi? I've got my friendly moderator and colleague Roshona on the line with me to help answer questions today.
Hi everyone, I'm Roshona. I'll be moderating today. So if you have any questions, you can pop it in the Q&A that's there, and we'll be getting to those. So I'm one of the Power Platform trainers here at Barhead. We run things like app in a day, dashboards in a day, Power Virtual Agents, and events and sessions like this. So we can really introduce you to the Power Platform and show you what cool features are there to get you excited about it.
All right, so we are using Teams live event for our session today. There's a Q&A window on the side, so if you've got questions at any point, pop them in the Q&A window there. I can see Roshona's published a couple of links there. We've got a good moderator going on here today, so she'll be popping some links in the chat there. So please pop your questions in there. She can interrupt me as we go along, and I will pause sort of where it makes sense throughout to pick up any of those questions. But please do pop them in the chat because we will answer those as we go along. So for those of you who may not have met us before, we are Barhead Solutions. Microsoft is building out this technology, so the ability to build chatbots as part of the Power Platform and the broader Power Platform, Microsoft business applications, all of those things we work with. We also work with Microsoft Teams and the broader platform as well beyond Microsoft business applications. So Microsoft is building the technology. Our role as a partner is to help you implement it, to go through that kind of design with you, to analyze your business processes, or to help you with just a really rapid solution. These are all things that we can do. So if you see anything here today that is really interesting for you, or that the light bulbs start to go off around what you might be able to do with this tech in your business, and you'd like us to help you with that, that's pretty much what we exist for. We are an inner circle partner, which means we're in the top 1% of Microsoft's business applications partners. Effectively means we work extremely closely with Microsoft on all of this technology and on all of our programs. And we are in Sydney, Brisbane, Melbourne, and Manila. We are a little further spread than we normally are, but we are absolutely fully functioning at this time, and we're seeing a huge demand from organisations needing solutions in the cloud to help them with their business problems. So we are absolutely functional and here to help. I'm speaking to you from Melbourne today. My colleague Roshona is in Sydney. We're working across cities in new and interesting ways, which has been great fun. So my little intro to the Power Platform, some of you will have seen this before. What we've done here over the course of the week is go through, the idea of taking you through a core part of the Power Platform one day at a time. So we started on Monday with Power Apps, and Power Apps is the part of the platform that allows you to build custom business applications with no code. So that means it could be a mobile application that allows your staff to have an easier user interface to connect to their CRM system or something like that. It could be a whole web-based application with a custom data model and so on. So Power Apps allows you to build out those custom business applications. On Tuesday, and if you've missed these sessions, then we've recorded all of them, and we will have them up on our website soon, so that you can rewatch or share or go back and catch up on the ones that you missed. Power Automate is the one that is designed for workflow automation. So that actually has capabilities in there to do trigger and action type workflows. It has the ability to do guided business processes. It also has the ability to do robotic process automation, and we had a little bit of a look at that on Tuesday if you're interested in that. We then had a look at AI Builder, so I'll come back to that in a minute because that crosses over both Power Apps and Power Automate. Actually, no, I'll talk about that now. AI Builder is the part that allows you to bring artificial intelligence into your apps and flows, and that's increasing in capability all the time in that low-code AI development, which is a core part of what Microsoft is offering with the platform. Yesterday, Roshona took us through Power BI, which is the part that allows you to do beautiful visualizations, reports, dashboard, gain that insight into your data. And today, we saved the best to last but certainly not least, Power Virtual Agents. So our focus here today is on this new capability in the platform that allows you to build chatbots with no code, and it's received this pillar in the Power Platform. It's one of the four pillars there, which is really a statement of Microsoft's prioritizing how important this is and what the demand for this is. That the demand for people to be able to build low-code chatbots and the demand for chatbots is every bit as big as the demand to build custom business applications. And certainly, just in my web browsing and shopping online and things in the last few days, I've seen at least 3 websites that pop pop up a little message when you go there saying, we are receiving a higher than average number of calls, or higher than expected number of calls. Please bear with us at this difficult time. It's taking us ages to get back to you. So right now, you know, the ability to deploy a chatbot quickly and at a lower cost than ever before is very, very timely. And we're actually seeing a huge demand for that in all sorts of cases. Now, did you notice what I just did there? Power Automate lit up again. And the reason for that is that these two parts of the platform are absolutely critical to each other. All of the parts of the platform work together. The whole point here is that these things are, you know, seamlessly integrated. You've got a cohesive tool set. They're not just single things. But the real power of Power Virtual Agents is that it can do more than just answering questions. So you need to think about this one as more than just a Q&A bot, because it is totally natively integrated with Power Automate, which means your bot can do stuff. It can take action, it can go out into your invoicing system and retrieve an invoice. It can go to your ERP and find a customer return. It could go to your HR system and check a leave balance. It can actually do all of these things, check information, add records. Anything that you can do with Power Automate, you can trigger from the bot, have those inputs and outputs. And this is where I get excited about this stuff. To be honest, you know, I've said it's my favorite a few times. To me, the idea that I can build a chatbot with no code is just absolutely wonderful and staggering. I also love it because there's a lot of you know, natural language processing and things going on in there. My world before I did this for a living, I used to work in books. I have a degree in linguistics, so some of this fascinates me. So this is part of the reason why it's my favorite. All right, so let's have a look here at the customer experience, kind of, you know, as it is in many places, and what we hope to achieve with this. This is fairly typical, right? You call a place. Hi, I'm Brian. I want a refund for a game that was purchased accidentally, and we watch the clock ticking over in the top left there. The agent comes back. Now, as a customer, first thing I've had to do there is go and find my order. I don't know about you, but I don't keep a track of all my order numbers and things. That's a painful process to start with. And now the agent is going to go away and, you know, check all of those things. The clock continues to tick. Thank you for holding. All good. We've got the return processed, but it's taken 18 minutes. And from a customer point of view, not exactly awesome, right? I'm Brian in this scenario. I had to go away and find my order number. I had to wait on the phone for 18 minutes, you know, not great. So what do we do when we want to fix these things? First thing we do, we build a web form. So now we don't have to be on the phone, don't have to wait for the agent. You know, it's a better scenario, but as a customer, I've gone to the web form, I still have to fill it out, and I still have to go away and find my order number and find my purchase date and find all that information. So I'm doing the work. And, you know, I've got my ticket created and that's good. Goes through, I get my refund request all sorted out, and it's completed within 9 minutes. So certainly a better experience, certainly a cheaper experience from the organisation side, but still not, you know, great. Like, so what might save us dollars, what might save us time, isn't necessarily creating a better customer experience. And this is where bots come into the picture here. In this case, let's imagine we're using the bot, and the bot has got that authentication working. So I've logged in, I want a refund, and this is what I'm talking about. The bot can actually do something for us. So now the customer did not have to, did you see Brian's smile there? The customer doesn't actually have to go away and find their order number, do those things, because the bot can do it for that person. They've logged in, they've authenticated. The bot can go away and say, you've purchased these items. Is this what you mean? Yes, I'll have that one. And then the bot can actually go and do the refund approval within certain conditions. So, you know, within the platform, you can allow it to say, if it's over a certain amount, it might need a different process. If it's under a certain amount, meets certain conditions of a standard refund policy, then the bot can just process that. So now we've saved time. Our agent hasn't had to deal with a routine inquiry. The customer is happy. It's done quickly, and we can see Brian's very happy face there on the left. So what we're looking at here with Power Virtual Agents, and one of the core parts of it is really around how do we make the bot do more than just simple Q&A. It's a really limited scenario. You know, the Q&A is good, can certainly help with things, but being able to take action on behalf of the customer is really where we get the satisfaction, and we're removing the friction for the customer. And if we can do that well, that's really the ultimate experience. So a bot will never have 100%. It will never be able to answer 100%. You still do need your, fallback position, your agents, your other ways of doing it. So we'll look at how this tool can also escalate and different options for escalating and transferring the context there. But what we're really looking at is the bot being able to handle the routine stuff so that those experiences are smoother. So welcome to Power Virtual Agents. And, as with every part of the Power Platform, it's all about empowering business users, empowering people who don't have a development background to be able to use these tools. There's this idea of democratizing the tools. There's this idea of bringing AI to the surface for people who don't actually have that kind of background. So what we're looking at here with this statement around Power Virtual Agents is to say, we can enable more people to be able to use these tools. The cost of deploying it goes down because we're working with a low-code interface, something that's quick to deploy. And we also can start to think about this from different points of view. Because we've got a bot that can do things and can engage in that natural conversational AI, we're actually seeing with this a lot of use cases coming through that are internal use cases, which is something you don't necessarily, people have bots on their website, chatbots on their website for a business to consumer scenario, awesome. But what about, checking your leave balance internally, finding an invoice internally? So you can start to deploy this in lots of different ways, and I'll take you through that. And to, move beyond the concept of a chatbot, which is your Q&A, and into this idea of a virtual agent, which can perform automated tasks for both customers and employees. So traditionally, why has Microsoft got into this domain? Bots are hard to create and expensive to maintain. There can be a gap, a friction between the subject matter experts, people who are at the front line talking to customers, and then the developers who create the bots and having to kind of, pass that information through. And also, if the bot is just doing Q&A, it's limited in its use. You're not getting that full value out of it unless you can integrate with the back end and do that kind of personalization of the answers. So the vision here around Power Virtual Agents is to do these things, engage naturally. Gone are the days where, and the development, this is the stuff I find fascinating, is the development of that natural language processing and the conversational AI has come so far in the recent months and years and so on. When you used to build chatbots, you used to have to go in and give it every single prompt that the user could possibly type in, whereas now we're looking at a system where you can give it trigger phrases and it actually can understand from 5 to 10 trigger phrases what the intent of that topic is. It can skip over things. It can pick up, types of words in the sentences, and you can teach it to understand those things. And this technology is moving at a really rapid rate, and we're going to see more and more capability coming into this. So that ability to engage naturally is very much there. We want the bot to be able to, the person to be able to have a more natural style of conversation, and I'll show you an example of that. This core part about democratizing AI, as I said, now this opens up this kind of tool set to people who don't have a specialist background in this stuff, who don't start by coming from a data science and AI background. These tools become available for them to use. The idea of continuously enhancing, so we can look at the analytics, we can see which topics are hitting the mark and which ones aren't. We can go through and improve the performance of the bot and enhance what the bot can do all the time without having to go through lengthy, expensive development cycles. You can go in and edit a topic in a user interface really, simply and adjust that. So we've been working, I'll show you at the end, on a bot to help with COVID-19. We had some feedback from someone who tested it out, who said, hey, this trigger phrase isn't firing, and I would expect it to. And within 10 minutes, we've been able to refine and adjust that and make it perform better. We don't have to kind of go back through a whole kind of expensive development exercise to do that. And as I've said, this really important part about allowing the bot to be able to take action. It's not just questions and answers. It's actually able to do things, which means it's a much more valuable and opens up many more scenarios that you can work in to do this. And it's designed for everyone. It's designed for the customers. If they're having that great experience, awesome. It's also designed for subject matter experts to work. But as with every part of the Power Platform, there is a high code story and a low code story here. We've got the subject matter experts who can contribute to those topics and the wording and how do customers ask for things and what information do they need. And we also need the pro devs and the IT admins and so on to work in collaboration with those people. It's not an either or. There's always a low code and a high code story going on here. And just to frame this, in terms of where it sits on the platform, what we've got is it's basically an interface sitting on front of all of this magic underneath. So you'll see there we've got Power Virtual Agents in the lovely teal green. It's sitting on the Power Platform. It's on that same platform that the rest of the things are on, which means you've got access to all of those pre-built connectors. So where we've looked at Power Automate in some detail, we talk about being able to do triggers and actions with all these connectors. So this is going out to, obviously all the Microsoft stuff. It goes out to your social media channels. It goes out to, things like MailChimp, Slack, Salesforce, Oracle, Gmail. There's heaps of them in there. So as a starting point, you start to think, well, now my Power Virtual Agent, my chatbot here can reach into all of those things. It can access all of those things. So that's the starting point, is you've got that Power Platform and that Power Automate capability with all those connectors, and the ability to build custom connectors in there too, don't forget. Below the surface there, and this is where I'm saying this technology is not new, because it's actually sitting on the bot framework. So the bot framework is the Azure service that we've had for a long time, which allows people to go in and build bots there, but you need the skills for that. This is it's infinitely flexible, but it costs a lot to do that. You need a very high level of expertise to do that. So what we're getting here is the best of both worlds. We're leveraging that technology underneath, but we've got a graphical user interface on the top to design the bot now, instead of needing to start there. But if you need to do things with your bot, if you need to do multi-turn complex interactions and conversations that are beyond what the Power Virtual Agent can do, you can just call in those skills from Bot Framework in the interface, add skill, and build out something. So you've got your pro devs building out things on that Azure Bot Framework. You can just pull them up into your Power Virtual Agent. So best of both worlds here. And Microsoft is the only provider that's providing both of these things. There's lots of other things in the market that do that, platform as a service, the big offerings that do those kinds of things that go up against the Azure Bot Framework. There are other bot making platforms that will go up against what we're doing with Power Virtual Agents. This is doing both. It's all sitting together, on the one back end, and you can leverage both, all of those things. The bottom layer there is around the Azure Cognitive Services. So this goes another level deeper into AI. This allows you to do things like sentiment analysis, text classification, machine learning, speech recognition, facial recognition, all of these things, and that's sitting underneath there as well. And as we see the development of Power Virtual Agents over time, it's going to get easier and easier to leverage things like AI Builder and things into there as well. So these pieces come together into something. So as I said, where it looks like it's a new piece of technology, it's that top layer that's new, but it is actually facilitating the use of all of this stuff that's underneath. I'm just going to pause there for any questions. Roshana, anything coming through in the chat?
No, we don't have anything yet.
No, all good. I will keep going then. Please pop any questions in the chat as we go through there today. So that's the sort of summary then of the Power Platform, the Power Virtual Agents, the broad statement of intent and capability, where it fits into all of those things, and what's going on underneath the hood there that you can leverage. So now I'm going to go through the the capabilities of what you can do with Power Virtual Agents. Bearing in mind this is a 1 hour presentation on sort of the the top level capabilities of these things. As I said, we can go deeper into any of these things in Power Virtual Agents in a day. Certainly happy to work with you on any kind of proof of concept type projects or rolling these things out quickly. We've got quite a lot of organisations coming to us right now wanting fast turnaround on this stuff, so it's super exciting that we're able to do that. So one of the starting point, I guess, with Power Virtual Agent is the idea of these topics. So a topic is a series of trigger phrases, and you'll see there in the screenshot we've got, lawn issue, brown yard, terrible backyard issue with front yard. So you'll see the way we're writing those trigger phrases is not word for word exactly what the customer will say, and we only need to provide a few of those sample phrases for the AI to learn the intent of the topic. So there's some, there's some human intelligence required here in how you do topic design, so that the topics are not ambiguous, so that the bot knows which topic to go to when, but we're designing these trigger phrases, and then we go through into an authoring canvas that allows you to use this graphical interface, drag and drop interface, to create your bot and to start with that trigger phrase and edit the thing on the canvas. It's got built-in error checking as well, so again, you don't have to go through a formal kind of deployment process to pick up errors after the fact. It will live in the canvas, very much like Power Apps has that little stethoscope icon in the top, which brings up a red dot saying, you've got errors in your Power App. This is the same kind of interface. It'll bring that error up and show it to you right in the moment if you've got orphans or loops that don't make sense and so on. And so you can just work through that user interface and do that. So testing it as you go. If you haven't got any errors in there, you'll see on the panel there we've now got the authoring canvas with the test bot alongside, and you'll see there's a big green bar in the middle where it says question and a big tick on it. What it actually does as you're testing is it tracks along the topics and tracks between topics, so that as you test your bot, you can see where it's going, where you can follow along and see where it's adding, what path it's following in the authoring canvas. So you're not just testing the bot performance, but you're also testing, is the flow of where it's going what I designed and what I intended, and spot very easily if it's heading in the right direction. And that track between topics feature means where you've got all those different conversational topics, as the bot jumps to a different one, the authoring canvas will jump across on the side there, so you can actually see which topic it's picking up and where it's working through, which makes it very powerful in terms of refining it. So the other thing that's really cool with the topic creation is that if you've got an existing FAQ website, you can just paste the link in there and it will pick up all of that stuff and turn it into topics and answers. So this works where you've got your it doesn't scrape your whole website. It needs to be FAQ content, but it will bring those things in and then allow you to edit them. You have control over whether you switch them on or off, and you can refine them, because the way that FAQ content is written and the way that you write for a chatbot isn't exactly the same as you've seen with those trigger phrases. So you can take what's there and go through and modify your trigger phrases and add those topics in. But certainly if you've got hundreds of FAQs or whatever existing on your website, one paste of the link takes 3 or 4 minutes, and within a matter of minutes you've got those conversations in there and a bot up and going and ready to refine and ready to use. All right, any questions there on topics before I go ahead?
No, we still seem to be good on questions.
Oh, nice and quiet on a Friday. Hopefully everyone's got something yummy to eat while we look at Power Virtual Agents. All right, so let's have a look at variables, topic redirects, and slot filling. And this is where it starts to get next level clever. So we've done that sort of first thing, which is your topics, your basic Q&A functionality. You've brought in your FAQ functionality. It's a happy place to be. So now what we're looking at is some extra functions that allow you to do clever things. So the first one is to extract information from the user's responses, and this is using a function called entities. Now, the word entities gets used in two completely different ways. If you're familiar with the Common Data Service or Dynamics 365 or Power Apps, we use the word entities over there to mean a type of record or a table of some kind. In this context, this is being used in the text analytics version of the word entities, which is to recognize specific types of information in a response. So for example, color, age, date, time. So if I say, you know, I am 21 years old, it will, which I'm not, but if I say that, it will recognize that there's an age in there. It has that ability to pick up on specific kinds of words and knowledge that it has in its entities. And you can create custom entities in there as well. So you can teach it your own domain knowledge. It comes pre-packaged with knowledge of things like, you know, colors and ages and dates and things. But if you work in healthcare, you can teach it things there. If you work in retail, you teach it your particular retail domain language and so on. And so then it can recognize those things as well. And the other piece that it can do here is variables. So I'll show you an example of this in a moment, which is to store information to use later. So when the user responds with something, to store that information in a variable, and then we can use that to do something with, to repeat back to the user, or to push through to Power Automate to do something. So the variables allow you to, you know, one of the other things you can do is to navigate to certain content. So that, you know, we can imagine a bot that says, you know, what kind of food would you like to order in? And you have three choices. You might have pizza or burgers or, I don't know, Mexican, whatever it is. And then the user's response is stored as a variable, and we can say, if it's this, do that, if it's this, do that, or if this is true or this is false, depending on what thing you're using. That allows you to kind of redirect and keep that information and use it later in the conversation. So I was talking before about entities. The other way to kind of think of this is this idea of slot filling. So we are able to, this is the conversational intelligence starting to come through here, that the bot can intelligently avoid repetitive conversations. So I'll show you an example in a second here where, you know, where if you've got a bot that asks questions, so say you go in car insurance and it says, what color is your car and how old are you and where do you live? It's not a particularly natural way of talking. It's not how most people would talk. And if the user goes in up front and says, I have a red car, I'm 21 years old and I live in Melbourne, it is able to pick up on all of those things and then just skip over the rest of the questions. It won't robotically go through and kind of continue to persist with questions it already knows the answer to. So it's able to do that much more natural language kind of capability. So this is a little demo here with my bot Marvin. This is an example of the entities that come out of the box here. So this one is just showing you a little bit more detail here in the actual canvas itself, zoomed up a bit. So you can see these are the standard entities that come out of the box. We've got things like age, city, color, and so on. So it comes pre-built recognizing all of those things. But as I said, perhaps I'm in a retail domain, perhaps I'm selling shoes, and this is not a standard entity, but I can go in and create an entity here and teach the bot the particular thing that I need it to know about. So for instance, I'm going to teach it language around different kinds of shoes. I've added some synonyms in there. You can see I've also got a little toggle switch here, which I've clicked on for smart matching. And the smart matching option enables the bot to, you know, to work with some of that intelligence underneath to pick up misspellings or grammar variations of similar words and things and so on. And again, you can go in and refine this and add extra things as you need to teach it the domain knowledge that you're working in. So this is a real zoom up, which I'm about to show you on how the entities work. So this example of insurance, again, you know, what's the color of your car? And you'll see there that the person has responded, instead of just red, they've responded, I have a bright red car. And the little black section on the right is showing us, you know, in testing our bot, what variables is this thing picking up? And I've got a variable called car color because the bot is looking for that in the information. And you can see it's detected red there out of the person typing that. So it's the same idea. It will detect an email as well. You know, some bots will not be able to handle that scenario if it says, what's your email address? And as a user, you type in, my email address is lisa.crosby@barhead.com. it can't recognize it because you've put words around it. This can recognize it because it understands how to pick that entity, pick that email out of the thing. If you say to this bot, what's your email address, and the user types in pink elephant red ribbon balloons lisa.crosby, whatever, as long as there's a valid email address in there, it doesn't matter what you put around it. It's the same thing here. I have a lovely bright red car, which is my pride and joy, and I've had it for years. It's able to recognize the word red. I don't have to have a robotic kind of conversation, so it can pick up those kinds of things. So let's see this in action. And if you're interested in sort of more of this, the demo of how I've built this one and how it works, we did do a webinar a few weeks back, which is also recorded, that goes a bit more into the detail of the how I've built this. I didn't want to just repeat the same contents. I'm taking a bit of a different angle today. But if we have a look at how this works, what we've got here is the test bot on the left-hand side, and the car insurance kind of bot here on the right-hand side, and we'll just play that to kick it off. And the little black box there is showing us the variables. So I'm kicking off the topic by saying I need car insurance. You'll see the canvas there spots up to where I'm at, and I'm doing the same thing here. I have a beautiful red car, and it can pick up red, and you watch in the black box there that it finds the word red. Now, how old are you is the next question, but if I give it more information, I'm 21 and I live in Melbourne. I don't want to go through the Q&A here. Look what happened there. It skipped the question, what city do you live in, and picked up those variables straight away. So just to give it another, sort of a test run here, same kind of trigger, I need car insurance. And this time I'm going to answer the questions out of order. What is the colour of your car? I live in Melbourne. Now that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but if I wasn't paying attention, but look what it's done there. It said, sorry, I didn't understand, and prompted me for what's the colour of your car. But when I said I live in Melbourne, it still picked up that I live in Melbourne. It's put that variable in there, and then it's gone through the rest of that canvas and said, how old are you? You'll notice there I've put the age in words instead of a number, and it recognizes that as an age. And then it hasn't asked me, it skipped the question about where do you live, because I've already given it the answer. Even though I gave it the answer in the wrong place, completely out of context, it's able to understand that kind of thing. So the idea here is that you could start with a question that's like, tell me about your car, and I could say, I have a red pickup truck, 2008 model, or whatever it is, and you could teach it all those entities, and it could extract all that information and have a much more natural conversation than having to go through that sort of rigid question and answer, and it's not re-asking questions that it already knows the answer to. Now that's a very simple example, but hopefully kind of illustrates the point nice and clearly there. All right, I'll pause again there. Anything else coming through yet?
Nope, it's been kind of quiet on the chat today.
That's all right. I don't want to miss anything, but we'll do that. So the final thing you can do in the canvas here around this area, so we've looked at variables, we've looked at slot filling and entities, is redirecting customers to topics. So you can actually sort of say, at the end there, redirect to a certain topic, so you can direct where you want that conversation to. All right, so here's where it gets exciting. I'm a bit excited already, but here's where it gets really cool as well, is this is now the power of Power Automate in the platform. And this is we're having conversation with an organization this week about this, where we're trying to, sort of take them through what are the capabilities. This is where it starts to really open up into all sorts of capabilities, because the bot calls on Power Automate and can do all of the stuff that Power Automate does. So for those of you who aren't familiar with Power Automate, it used to be known as Microsoft Flow. But Power Automate is the service that allows you to do workflows. So it allows you to do like a trigger and an action between apps and services. So again, we've got these different connectors and things. So the idea is that you can take any of these systems, and if an event is triggered there, so let's say a new record is created in my Dynamics 365, my CRM system, then I want to take an action. I perhaps want to notify a sales manager. I might want to send an email to someone. So these things can work in like a trigger action automated workflow across different systems. You can create custom connectors for systems that are not provided as standard connectors. And the thing that's not on this slide, because it's pretty brand new, it's only just gone into general availability in April, is another functionality called robotic process automation, or UI flows, which allows you to connect to systems that don't have an API. So that will record your keystrokes and your mouse clicks and things and repeat those for you. So your Power Virtual Agent can actually tap into that as well. And there's an awesome demo which was done at Ignite last year by Charles Lamanna, who's the president of all of this stuff at Microsoft, demonstrating at the launch how that robotic process automation is working with Power Virtual Agent. So the agent, the customer fills in an email, and then the agent needs to send the chat history to a legacy, contact system that doesn't have an API, and it's able to do that with this platform. So, there's heaps of things that can be enabled here. This starts to get into, a world of imagination as well. All of these things are real, things that you can start to enable with a combination of Power Automate and Power Virtual Agent. So you'll see it's going way beyond just questions and answers now. We're able to, make next best action suggestions. We can check user eligibility. We can make appointments and things, at a more perhaps accessible, straightforward level. Imagine, that scenario we had right at the start with the customer on the line there handling a returns process. So we could say, if it's under a certain value, if it's under $100 or whatever, then you can return it online, and the bot can retrieve the order, generate a returns authorization number, send it back, log all that in the system. So all of those kinds of things become possible here because the bot is natively connected through Power Automate. Power Automate questions?
Nothing come through yet.
I'd like to just interrupt me if there are any questions, Roshona, because I think we've got a fairly quiet group today.
Yeah. All right.
Which is all good. All right. So authentication, as we saw, at the start here with that ability for the user to have that great experience, right? They're logged in, they're authenticated, the bot knows who they are, then they don't have to kind of go through repetitive processes and annoying things like going out and finding their order number. So this is the ability to add end user authentication into your app so that the user can sign in, we can call an action, choose authenticate. That's as simple as it is in the canvas. You need a bit of IT admin to set up that authentication profile in the first place. But then what it means is you can have a bot that asks the user to authenticate. Two-factor authentication you can support as well, and then off you go, and the bot is empowered to do things with that user logged in, which creates a really good experience. That's just showing you the back end there of that sort of authentication setup and the different options available to you there. And of course, we said at the start, there's not a promise here that your bot, a chatbot, will be able to handle 100% of things. There is still that need to have other kinds of interaction with an organization. And so this is designed to be able to hand off and partner with your human agent. So you're getting the best of both. The ideal scenario here is that your chatbot can handle the routine questions. Your people are then handling the things that need people to handle them, rather than having to deal with those routine things. So there you're getting the best of both worlds with being able to offer that superior kind of service. And one of the things to think about is, different kinds of ideas of what a handoff might look like. So within the platform here, we can hand off to Dynamics 365 Omnichannel for customer service, which is the part of the platform that does that customer service functionality. You can also hand off to another live chat provider where there's some code you can put in to do that. If you're not familiar with Dynamics 365 customer service, it has this omni-channel capability, which is relatively new. So Dynamics 365 enables, has a whole customer service app that has knowledge management and case resolution and things in there, and now has this fully featured omni-channel experience with more channels being offered as well. But the other thing to think about in terms of escalation with your chatbot is that if you don't have a live agent system, and not all organizations do, then you can escalate in different ways. You can escalate by getting the bot to create an email and send it to someone, because that's a thing that Power Automate can do. You can get the bot to escalate by creating a ticket and logging a ticket in the system, because that's a thing Power Automate can do. So, imagine the customer experience. Let's say you don't have something as sophisticated as a live chat, live agent functionality on your system. Then if someone's interacting with the bot and you need to take it further, the bot can say, I can't help you. Would you like me to log a ticket for you? Would you like me to send an email for someone to return your call tomorrow? That's a much better experience than the person themselves having to go, oh, now I'm going to have to follow this up and start all over again. The bot can pass all the context of the conversation through, put that in an email, send it through. A human person can pick that up the next day. So, there are different ways and different options there of thinking about what escalation can mean, from quite simple actions of sending emails or logging tickets in your system. And again, remember, this is connected through the Power Automate connectors to things. If you're using something like Zendesk, you can get your bot to pass through Power Virtual Agents, create a ticket in Zendesk, for instance. Or you can go right through to using an omni-channel system. And if you don't already have one of those, Dynamics 365 very natively, obviously plugs and plays with this. There's tools in there that are also able you to, analyze your customer service queries coming in and push them through automatically to Power Virtual Agents as well. So there's a lovely connected experience available there. All right, so I've mentioned a few times here that there are different ways of thinking about using Power Virtual Agents. So we can do more with this than it being a B2C on a website. So that's when most people start with thinking about a bot. I need a bot on my website. Great, we can do that. Perfect. But look at all these other channels. So you'll see there that the demo website is one of the things you can do. That just allows you to test and play with it to see what it's looking like. And custom website, which is the standard thing, you want to put it out to your own website. You actually just click a button, grab a snippet of code, paste that code into your website, and then the bot can take on, your own website design. We've also got the ability to have sort of custom canvases and things in there as well now. So that can take on the look and feel of your website. But then we've got all these other options of ways to deploy your bot as well. You can deploy it to Facebook. Microsoft Teams is the one that really starts to enable internal use cases. So you can have this bot, this Power Virtual Agent sitting inside Teams. So instead of, if you've got a lot of questions from your staff internally about things, rather than having to have someone handle all of those, you can have a bot sitting in Teams that's sitting right where the users need it, rather than users having to go out and, find it on a website or something else. And then the other thing that's going to be awesome, and this is coming through, predicted at the moment for sort of general availability around August, is the ability to have a Power Virtual Agents chatbot inside a Power app. So this is a scenario where, you've built a custom app for your users, and the users can then interact with your bot on that mobile app. So that's going to be very exciting. You'll be hearing from me all about that the day it's released. Trust me. I'm very, very excited about that one. So all of these pieces starting to come together, and that ability to publish that bot on all of those different channels without needing to do a bunch of coding or anything. There's just snippets and things to be able to connect those things up, and you're good to go. So here's what Power Virtual Agents looks like inside Microsoft Teams. So you'll see there that we've actually got it pinned on the side. This is our bot called Rona, which is the one that we've been working on to sort of help people with fast deployment of a bot to help with the current situation. So you'll see on the left-hand side menu bar, we've got Rona pinned on the side there, and Rona is just working inside Teams, inside the chat there. So you can have a bot just pinned on the side of Microsoft Teams, so the users don't have to go looking for it. They can just click on that and work with that inside Teams. It's exactly the same bot that we could put on the website, so you don't need to be building different things. It's just working completely in that user interface. So as I said, we start to think beyond beyond the beyond the external B2C use cases here. Your bot can be doing HR kinds of things. It can be doing, internal use cases. It could be a field agent who needs to know what's the next step in a process. So there's lots of different things there, and we are seeing opportunities come through for Power Virtual Agents, which are kind of thinking differently and beyond, certainly enabling that B2C use case very well, but lots of other ways that this can be used as well.
Lisa, we have a question.
Oh, good. I was thinking, should I ask or not? I'll pause.
Yep, we got one here. So, does virtual agent learn from its conversation and self-improve on conversation?
Yeah, now, so there's the answer to that question there, it does what's called attended learning, not unattended learning. So it's drawing on the natural language processing, conversational AI, and all those things to do those entities and the topics and things. But it's doing attended learning, which basically means there's human interaction on the learning. So when we have a look at the analytics in the next part, it's able to kind of take things from the analytics, and then you can go back in and teach it. So it's not doing that kind of self-attended learning that sits underneath in the platform, but it's not doing that unattended learning on its own. You can train it yourself, but it's not doing that on its own.
All right, thanks.
That's it.
Keep going.
Right, good. Well timed, because that leads quite nicely into the next section on analytics. So what we've got here is within the Power Virtual Agent interface is a built-in dashboard. Now, this is actually using Power BI embedded. You don't need to be separately licensed for that. That's all sitting in there. The analytics are all available for exports. If you wanted to build other kinds of, Power BI dashboards or things like that, then you can export all your chat history and all those things and work with that. But you've got this lovely looking dashboard that sits inside Power Virtual Agents, and you actually can look at this at a topic level and at a whole bot level. So you're getting these nice summary charts. You can see the engagement over time. You can change that time period there, session outcomes over time, and one of the things that we want to really look at there is the different kinds of where things have had to be escalated, where things have been abandoned, and what the abandoned rate drivers are. And this is where we're talking about this idea of attended learning for the bot, is that we can go in and kind of pick up on those things and feed them back into the topics. So we want to monitor this session outcomes over time chart to see if there are trends, because something might be performing really well and then situation changes, as it's inclined to do, and suddenly the bot is not answering the right questions anymore, or that engagement rate really drops. And so we want to be able to pick up on that. And that purple line is the one that we really want to look at there. So you'll see there in this example that abandon rate is increasing, and so that's an alert to do something about that. And we can drill down into the topic there. You'll see that something here with that abandon rate drivers in the left hand screen there. That issue with placing order is having a big impact on the abandon rate. So we can click through on that link and just go straight into that topic, see what's going on with that topic, edit that topic in context, and go from there. So I mentioned before about Dynamics 365 customer service. There's a tool in there called Customer Service Insights that can actually analyze all of the different queries and things you're dealing with, and that has a little piece of magic in it where you can just click through on that and it'll say, here are your top 3 topics that you should suggest to virtual agent, and go, yes please, and it just pushes them through and adds them in there. So that's another tool in the platform with all of those pieces working together. All right, so just briefly on the whole sort of COVID-19 situation, there's a couple of things here. One of the, as I said at the start, one of the things is that there are stacks of organisations who are desperately in need of extra help with customer service kind of scenarios now. As I said, just in my casual browsing in the last few days, I've seen a number of websites that we're experiencing more than normal call volumes and so on. So this idea of being able to have a bot to handle the repetitive basic stuff as a starting point is really something to consider. Microsoft is actually offering some special deals on licensing around this stuff. So if you need to build a COVID-19 solution related to to helping your organization with that, if you're in government, non-profit, healthcare, what's the other one, education, then there are special deals on the customer service licensing and on the Power Platform licensing, up to like 6 months worth of free licensing. So if you need to get started with this in a hurry, as I said, we're in a position to help you with that rapid deployment, and Microsoft is offering free licensing for valid scenarios here. So certainly reach out to us after this if that's something that you're interested in finding out more about, because we can help you with that. We work very closely with Microsoft on all these things, and we've had a couple of customers up and running already with those offers. We have put together, and Rishoni, maybe just pop that link in the chat so people can click through on it, a bot where we have populated this with a bunch of content already around commonly asked questions and topics and things. We can help you deploy this with it's a bit of an accelerator here to help you get started with content that's already been partially developed. So the idea is that you'll need some specific stuff for your organization, but there's a bunch of stuff around questions around travel and social distancing and things around COVID-19 that are just commonly asked questions no matter where you are, and so we've put a lot of that content in there already, and we can tweak it, and we can help you implement a bot based on this, or not, or based on just what you need, but just as an example there. So you can give it a test run there on our website if you want to do that. And as I said, please, if you're interested in building a solution with this technology right now, we can help you take up those offers from Microsoft on the licensing and help you get something done, in a very short space of time. So just to finish off on a nice kind of positive forward-looking note, I said at the start this is relatively new. The Power Platform is always getting new stuff added to it. So we are in the start of the Wave 1 release cycle. So there's 2 release waves each year. This is Wave 1, which is the features being released from April to September. And Wave 2 will be October to March features. So you can see on that link there, you can go through and access the Power Platform release plan. It includes bits and pieces on all of those things. So from a Power Virtual Agents point of view, these are 2 things that have just been released recently. So the first one on the left there is about being able to change the icon and the name, so that idea of having a custom canvas for your bot. And the other one that just came out on Monday this week is being able to get the bot to start the conversation for you. So instead of that scenario where the bot is just sort of sitting there, the bot can actually start by starting with a greeting. So that's been a top asked for feature. Certainly Microsoft pays a lot of attention to the features that are in high demand and get a lot of upvotes in the community sites. So that's always a good way to get your voice heard. So what we're seeing, as I said before, the ability to, coming in release Wave 1, the ability to add Power Virtual Agents to Power Apps is coming around August. We are also seeing the ability to get voice interactions. So that's more like September. So that will be super exciting, and also the ability to have images with your bots. So images and videos and things as part of the bot canvas as well is coming in this release wave. Some of these things have already come through. Some of the new language things. This is a bit of a summary of what was on the roadmap here: expanding reach with support for new languages, channels, the telephony integration, which I just talked about. We're also going to see pretty soon this staging and application lifecycle, so the ability to package your bot up as part of a solution and move it between the different environments. So that's something we'll get soon. We are going to be able to, some more cleverness coming in around like that idea of variables that I showed you before, global variables, deeper integration with the common data service, and richer responses, and again, more work being done on that human and AI collaboration, and the bot being able to suggest new topics and have that automated as the bot gets used. So with 1 minute to go, that's all I had.
We do have a couple questions though.
Excellent, go for it.
Yep. So as far as I know, this one isn't possible yet, but the question was, can bots connect to Teams voice direct call routing? that
Yes.
is passed to bot instead of voicemail?
Yeah, so not yet. The voice interaction alone, unless I'm misunderstanding the question, let me just have a read of it. So the ability to connect with voice is on the roadmap, but it's not live yet. Let me just reread that question.
This is in terms of, I think, routing call to the bot.
So it's like where it goes to, yeah, because the call goes through and goes to the voicemail in Teams, which is annoying, right? I don't think so. That's one I'd have to take on notice. I can't kind of put those pieces together. Yeah, I don't think so. I think that's going to be dependent on the telephony integration or deeper Teams integration. So let me do a bit more research into that one for you. If you want to put your name on any of these things, because they do come through to us as anonymous, ping me afterwards and I'm happy to follow that one up. But I'm going to say I don't think that's possible right now.
And could virtual agents provide response to a problem from a customer by referring, I think, the Dynamics CRM and suggest best solution accordingly?
Yeah, the Dynamics KM there would be their knowledge management, knowledge base articles. So yes, it can do that.
And we just had someone asking for a link to the webinar, so I'm just going to post in a link to our website where we'll be posting these.
So I will find, so that might be a link to the webinar which I referred to earlier. So let me just, I will actually
the virtual agents one.
Yeah,
I got that one up here.
Got that one.
I'll
awesome. Step ahead of me. See, champion moderator. Thank you. Because that has a little bit more of sort of a live demo build. So I had a bit of a different approach to that one. As I said, I wanted to, since we're recording these things, have a couple of different options for people to watch. So yeah. Cool. Anything else?
Nope, I think that's all for now.
That's it. Great. All right. I think we've hit the top of the hour again. So thank you all very much for joining us. Have a great weekend. I hope you've enjoyed this if you're watching it on replay, and we'll be talking to you again soon. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.